السلامي with a loud صلوات على محمد وآل محمد.
أفلح من صلى على محمد وآل محمد. Louder, please. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. واعتصموا بحبل الله جميعا ولا تفرقوا واذكروا نعمة الله عليكم إذ كنتم أعداء فألف بين قلوبكم إذ كنتم أعداء فألف بين قلوبكم فأصبحتم بنعمته إخوانا وكنتم على شفا حفرة من النار فأنقذكم منها كذلك يبين الله لكم آياته لعلكم تهتدون. ولتكن منكم أمة يدعون إلى الخير ويأمرون بالمعروف وينهون عن المنكر وأولئك هم المفلحون. ولا تكونوا كالذين تفرقوا واختلفوا من بعد ما جاءهم البينات وأولئك لهم عذاب عظيم. يوم تبيض وجوه وتسود وجوه فأما الذين سودت وجوههم أكفرتم بعد إيمانكم فذوقوا العذاب بما كنتم تكفرون وأما الذين ابيضت وجوههم ففي رحمة الله هم فيها خالدون وأما الذين ابيضت وجوههم ففي رحمة الله هم فيها خالدون صدق الله العلي العظيم. أفلح من صلى على محمد وآل محمد.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Thank you, Brother Mustafa, for that beautiful recitation. I would now like to present Sayyid MohammedHassan Alsheraah's discussion on the topic of doubts in religion with a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. أفضل الذكر بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Respected brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. When addressing the topic of doubts in religion, we have to first acknowledge that due to its commonality, how common it is, that we should never ridicule anybody that might be showing signs of doubt within religion. For all we know, our advice can make them go down a spiral. That's one. Two, a doubt can be a blessing because no two minds are alike. When one person shows signs of doubt, it is like a spiral. One thing leads to another, then they're not praying, then they commit apostasy for all I know. However, in another case, this sign of doubt may lead to research, analyzation, studying, and then they may affirm their faith. Because nobody likes to live their life with a lack of certainty. At the end of the day, what is faith? By definition, faith is the belief of something with the lack of evidence. Our religion is not that. It's a way of life. Because we can objectively prove everything we can by stating where our belief system comes from in an orderly fashion, logically. And we'll get into that, inshallah ta'ala, later on within the talk. And with that being said, we have to also acknowledge that this is a sensitive topic and a controversial one in that. Because colossal shifts have occurred with one person showing a sign of doubt. You look at in the 15th century with Martin Luther, he doubted the church's authority and legitimacy to come and profess that there is this tax, a mandatory tax that we must all now pay in order to own a piece of land in heaven. And he contested that, which then led to the Protestant movement. Hence, they began protesting, which is why it's called the Protestants, protesting and whatnot, what have you. And so we have to acknowledge that there are major challenges when it comes to somebody showing signs of doubts within religion. Therefore, let's look at this through the most what I believe, 5 key questions when it comes to analyzing this topic, doubts in religion, through an Islamic perspective. Beginning with number 1. What is the difference between doubting religion and doubts in religion? Number 2, is God still God without religion, or are they both mutually exclusive, or are they not mutually exclusive? Number 3, what are the different levels of certainty within faith and doubt? Because as mentioned earlier, no two minds are alike. One person may have doubt leading to a spiral, another leading to success and bliss. So what are the different levels of certainty when it comes to iman and yaqeen and truth? And number 4, lastly, which prophet of God asked from Allah a sign to strengthen even his own faith? And why did he ask for a sign? Is it because he wasn't certain? Did he not believe? Or was there a deeper message with that? Beginning with the first question, what is the difference between doubting religion and doubts in religion? Doubts in religion, there is nobody on the existence of earth or has ever lived except the Ma'soom that has experienced or showed signs of doubt within an area inside religion. And this may sound controversial, but from the layman to the top grand scholar. And I'll provide an example. You have a narration. One scholar may come and say that this narration is reliable and authentic. Another may argue, no, I doubt it's authentic because I've studied the chain of narrators and it shows that one of them wasn't reliable. Therefore, I doubt the authenticity of said narration. This is encouraged. We want this discussion. Imam Ali alayhi salam would say, learn your religion, don't inherit it. We are free human beings. We think. We are free thinkers. We don't just accept everything like sheep. I want my faith to be a faith of confidence. Because what faith is deemed today, as mentioned earlier, the belief in something and the lack of evidence. No, I can prove everything objectively, starting with God and recognizing that God is more than just 3 attributes: omniscient, omnipotent, and infinite. Allah's beyond that, and we'll analyze that in a little bit. That's as far as doubts within religion. Of course, there has to be a certain level and a line that we don't cross. This is encouraged, but there are certain levels we don't cross. For example, one may argue that I am a Muslim, I believe in religion, but I don't believe in the Nabuwah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. No, that's wrong. You can't be Muslim and begin arguing that Rasulullah wasn't a prophet. That's actually counterintuitive. It contradicts itself to begin with. Therefore, there has to be a limit, a line drawn, that you can question. Go ahead. Be a free human thinker. Think, question. Hey, even question the Nabuwah of Rasulullah. But with the means of questioning, seek it as a means, not an ends. Use it to learn more. Why is Rasulullah the last and final prophet? Let me think about that for a few moments. Let me just analyze this concept right here. Why did the world not just begin with Islam to begin with if his message is the final message? And so on and so forth. That's great. But don't begin doubting. No, I doubt he was the last and final prophet. See there? The difference that makes? Therefore, there is a line drawn, but we should always encourage one another to think. Be a free human thinker, be a free human being and a free thinker with that. However, doubting religion is where we begin finding most people, especially in the West, beginning to do. Where they say, look, I believe in God. I mean, at least I have respect for my intellect to know that every creation has a creator. I believe in God, but I don't believe in a book, an organized religion. Now I have to pay zakat. What is all that? No. I believe in God, and that's it, pretty much. The term for that is deism, where you believe God came, created everything, then subtracted himself. What a shallow way of thinking. Because then your definition of God is not, because when we define God, what do they always tell you? All-powerful, all-loving, merciful, and infinite. Apparently God is not all-merciful. But you're merciful, why would you come, create, then leave? Send me guidance. It's like saying parents came, created a child, then left the second the child was born. Is that all merciful? No. Or that God is not all powerful. He couldn't have stayed. Quick fact. The founding fathers of this country, George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, they were all deists. They believed that, yes, God came, he was present, he created, but then he subtracted. They weren't Christians. No, that's an interesting fact to have there. So you find that doubting religion is an interesting element. That Yeah, you can reject this, but I still believe in God. What's the harm in that? I don't need religion to tell me how to live a good life. I'm still a great human being. And we find great examples of that. No one can argue that. There are people that don't adhere towards a religion, but they're wonderful human beings. In fact, greater than certain Muslims I've seen, and I'm pretty sure we can think of a few examples. The idea is, what do you have to lose accepting Islam? Nothing. What do you have to lose recognizing that certain times of the day, that the Creator that made you, of which you recognize, needs to be recognized for His greatness and honor and beauty and ultimateness? What do you have to lose staying away from certain things that are haram to consume? And they're not just haram for no reason. They're haram because they're bad for you. Alcohol's not permissible to consume because it's literally bad for us. Certain foods that are not prepared in an Islamic way, they're not right to be eaten because they were not prepared humanely in the halal way of preparing things, in that paradigm, in that methodology. What do you have to lose? And you can say that to anybody that wants to come and argue against Islam. That, look, I'm Christian. Why do I need to accept Islam? Why? And I believe in God, and I believe in the prophets, and I believe in all the other books, and etc. But why do I need to accept Islam? No, the question is, what do you have to lose accepting Islam? Did not Rasulullah come and try to promote the teachings of which the same prophets you believe in came to promote? Nothing is lost. That's within this concept of doubting within religion. There was a man that came to Al-Imam As-Sadiq alayhi salam, and he was an atheist, and he wanted to argue with the Imam that no matter what you tell me, if it's theological, cosmological, if I don't care what it is, I will not accept God. He was a very stingy atheist. He acknowledged he was a stingy atheist. And I hear you're the most knowledgeable of all men around town. So tell me, prove to me God. Try, just do it. At that point, traditionally, we are not advised to continue talking to these sort of people. These are what we call jahil, juhal. And what does the Quran say about these kind of individuals? وَإِذَا خَاطَبَهُمُ الْجَاهِلُونَ قَالُوا سَلَامًا. And if the deliberately ignorant person speaks to you, just say salam, don't talk to me. Don't waste your time. It's like telling them, they come and they claim the sky is green, and just look up, it's blue. Nope, I'm not going to look, it's still green. That person, don't waste your time with them. وَإِذَا خَاطَبَهُمُ الْجَاهِلُونَ قَالُوا سَلَامًا. The Imam didn't do that, however, because he saw potential. Sometimes there are people that there's no potential in them, so don't waste your time. However, an Imam Ma'asum can see beyond what we can see. And so he said something very fascinating, Al-Imam As-Sadiq. He said, look, I'm not going to prove to you anything, but I ask you a question. If it turns out to be the case, when we both die, that you were right all along, and that God never existed, then who's at loss? Me or you? Nobody's at loss. We're just unconscious, that's it. But if it turns out to be the case that I was correct this whole entire time, then who's at loss? You or I? You. So you are better off just accepting the message. That man instantly said, Allah a'lam hayth yaj'al risalata. God knows exactly where to put His message. Because if He does nothing, nothing happens. But and it turns out that there was no God, nothing happens. But if it turns out there was a God and He does nothing, He deliberately ignored everything, then guess who's at fault here? You're going to be in a little bit of trouble. He then acknowledges, Allah a'lam hayth yaj'al risalata. God knows where to put His message. And he began saying the following lines, وَإِنِّي أَشْهَدُ أَنْ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ وَأَنَّ مُحَمَّدًا رَسُولُ اللَّهِ وَأَنَّكَ أَنْتَ وَلِيُّ اللَّهِ صَلُّوا عَلَى مُحَمَّدٍ وَآلِ مُحَمَّدٍ. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. I teach Sunday school here. When I tell the little kids to do salawat, they yell out loud. So inshallah ta'ala, we could learn from the little kids. Sometimes the adults can learn from the kids. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. So God and religion are not mutually exclusive. Because when you say, if I believe in God, but I reject religion, yet I still believe in God, where's the harm in that? Your definition of God is faulty. It's not the same as my definition of God. As Muslims, we begin as disbelievers of God. We begin as disbelievers. We begin rejecting God. La ilaha, there is no God. But then we continue it. Illallah, except Allah. And then my Allah is not limited to 3 definitions. Merciful, powerful, or wise, and infinite. It was beyond that. La ilaha illallah, Jawad, Kareem, Halim, Azim, Mutakabbir, Jami', etc., so on and so forth. That I recognize that my God is a multitude of things. Yes, He's merciful, but He's also al-Mutakabbir, He's intimidating. That at one point, if, let's say, you eliminated 16 innocent million people's lives from the earth, and you got away with it by just committing suicide like Adolf Hitler did, then it just lights out and you manage to get away with it and there will be no trial, no judgment. Allah will come and judge. Allah will discipline. My Lord is beyond just the three common terms that we like to label God as. It's beyond that. So God and religion cannot be mutually exclusive. And who comes and substantiates that claim? The Quran itself. When Allah in Surah Al-Rahman says, Ar-Rahman, allama al-Quran, khalaqa al-insan, allamahu al-bayan. Ar-Rahman, the merciful one. Allama al-Quran, taught the Quran. Allah taught the Quran or created the Quran? No, Allah says, I taught the Quran. Ilm is given to that which can hold it, something that's living. So that shows that the Quran is alive. Allama al-Quran, but then khalaqa al-insan. So He made sure that the human was created after the creation of the Quran, so that when the human is present, that he is not just wandering the world without a form of guidance or a guideline, that there is something they could return back to and use as a support system. I gave you a book, Allama al-Quran, then I khalaqa al-insan. But what happens when you implement the knowledge of the Quran with the human being's capability of learning the Quran? Because indeed Allah created the human being for what purpose? وَإِذْ قَالَ رَبُّكَ لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً. Thank you. قَالُوا وَتَجْعَلُ فِيهَا مَنْ يُفْسِدُ فِيهَا وَيَسْفِكُ الدِّمَاءَ وَنَحْنُ نُسَبِّحُ بِحَمْدِكَ وَنُقَدِّسُ لَكَ قَالَ إِنِّي أَعْلَمُ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. The angels said to God, Allah, you're going to make a khalifa on the earth, and that's going to be a human being. When we pray to you and this human being is going to spill blood and cause corruption while we pray to you and glorify your name, Allah responded with, I know that which you do not know. Then He continues, وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا. And I gave Adam all of the names. And I taught Adam, I educated Adam. Allah gave khilafah to the human being because the human being is capable of learning education. They can soak up education. Nothing else can learn like the human being. So we are a sanctum full of invaluable wisdom. Therefore Allah khalaq al-insan, but made sure that there was a Quran before that so they can learn. What happens when the human combines themselves with the Quran? Allamahu al-bayan. They will then learn eloquence. They will become eloquent in their speech, in their etiquette, in their demeanor, in their character, in their manners, in their akhlaq. Allamahu al-bayan. And no one manifested eloquence other than Amir al-Mu'mineen, the peak of eloquence, Ali ibn Abi Talib. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So then, back to our discussion, why do people have doubts in religion? If religion was supposed to be easy, like it's supposed to be a guideline, for the sake of example, let's say there's a building, and let's say it catches fire. You happen to be on the 4th floor. You better hope that the exit sign is large enough and clear to be able to read so you could find your way out. Otherwise, if that guideline is not clear, then you're not going to be guided to safety. Likewise, why is religion in that sense very difficult? If it's supposed to be my guidance to salvation, then I would assume that the guideline should be easy. Well, you find Pew Research shows that 25% of ex-Muslims leave Islam due to their dislike of organized religion and of God. They deny God all in general because they somehow reach the conclusion that God doesn't exist and their disbelief of God. Their dislike of organized religion comes with the idea of, why do I need more rules in my life? I don't want to be told what to do and what not to do, what to eat, what not to eat, how to dress, and how to not dress. People don't like rules. Well, I mean, the argument for that is, yeah, as much as we don't like rules, they're very much necessary. A quick example for that would be, imagine right here on the street, Ford Road. that sign that says 45 miles per hour, just switch it with one that says whatever speed limit, no speed limit. And within the first hour, I guarantee you, you won't be able to count the amount of accidents that occur, especially knowing some of these guys here, especially that one. No, I'm joking. All of you are really good drivers, inshallah ta'ala. But point being, rules are there not against us, but for our favor. We have to be guided. We have to make sure that there's a limit, a line that's not crossed. That our judiciaries implement these not for our punishment, but for our benefit, for our use. And likewise, that doesn't stop with our societal way of living, but it continues with the way we connect with God, the way we reflect with God, and the way we conduct ourselves with other people. There has to be a parameter. We're not animalistic human beings. We're not that, and that's not the case. So with that being said, there has to be an organized system that at least we should take and follow in our lives to remember. Otherwise, in the mind of an atheist, it's just we were born, and we live for a little bit. It's all one big circus. We die, then it's lights out. Now, that's the most shallow way of thinking. And those people that live their lives of torment, they will never seek justice for what they did, for what has been done upon them, or no justice will ever be served on the oppressed. It's just we're born, one big circus, we die, lights out, end of story. You got away with it if you got away with it. No. We move on with that and we say that we believe in God wholeheartedly, which is why the second reason people leave Islam is because of their disbelief of God. And I'm not going to try to prove God. Philosophers have philosophized, thinkers will think. But the basic argument is this: 0 plus 0 will never equal 1. Every creation has a creator. And the more complex the creation is, and this might sound like a tongue twister, the more complex a creation is in complication, the more competent the creator becomes. And I'll say that again. The more complex a creation is in complication, the more competent the creator becomes. Look at the Mona Lisa. How long did it take Leonardo da Vinci to paint it? How many, who thinks they know? 12 years. It took him 9 years just to paint the lips. He spent so much time and effort that till today, thousands, millions, billions of people are dumbfounded, are shocked as to the masterpiece of which is the Mona Lisa. Now you look at that, and I want to say, that creation, as great as it is, the creator must have been equally great in competence or greater to have made it. Likewise, with life, everything I see that is created by the hands of human beings, I am acknowledging that they must have been great in competence to have created that, like a device or a very super strong computer. And I think to myself, what skill did they have? How is it the case then with, let's say, the galaxies? Is it because no mere human hands made it, so that I reject the possibility that perhaps it was also created by a creator? Then you go back on this reverse receding cycle. Then who created that? And then who created that? And then you land at one point in this singularity. Then who started all of this? The more complex a creation is in complication, the more competent the creator becomes. And likewise, I see this universe. How complex is it? The creator must have been so competent. Indeed, none other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Now, with that being said, as mentioned previously, and hopefully by the end of all this, we could have perhaps a discussion, if you guys like, I don't know. I know the time is getting a little bit late. But as far as the level of certainty of faith and yaqeen go, because no two heads are alike. So when we have doubt in something, we might find someone's doubt is different than the other. And so when you say doubt in the Arabic language, it may refer to shak. Shak is generally seen as being 50% certainty. So when you have shak, you say, I'm 50% sure, 50% not so sure. But perhaps it's less than that. If it's less than that, then that is referred to as waham, tawaham, which is recognized to be around 20% certainty. At waham, 25% certainty, I'm not so sure, but it's most likely not going to be the case where I am sure. However, if it's beyond 50% and it's around 80% certainty, You land around what is referred to as dhann. Dhann, a dhann, maybe something is going to be plausible. That increases your certainty there. But then when you have complete certainty, 100%, it's called yaqeen, objective truth. We, as Muslimin, we must believe in our faith wholeheartedly, but at the same time, always constantly look for the areas where our certainty is not 100%, because we don't have all the answers. If we did, we would be Imam Ma'soom, but we're not. So we have to always strive to look, research, and read until the day an Imam Ma'soom is present, Ajjalallahu ta'ala farajahu sharif. Only then will we be able to ask the one who directly epitomizes God for the direct, objective truths in our lives. Because as mentioned, even the top scholars will look at a narration, may have doubt here, may have rejections here and there. And so this is perfectly commonly found. So when we come and analyze someone's case that you may know, perhaps it could be a relative, someone young, and they may show you, I don't understand my belief. I don't get this. It doesn't make any sense to me. How is it that these miracles could have come? I don't really get splitting Red Sea. None of this makes sense to me. Religion is very confusing. Figure out where they're at. Are they really low in their certainty? Then you can come and assess their situation as such. But if they're really confident, but they just show, something needs more clarification. Come and clarify it for me. We should always judge people individually for their, not judge actually, we should always come and assess people's doubts individually, subjectively, and depending on the way they view things and what they hold as certain and what's not certain. So we have to always keep in mind the different levels of certainty when it comes to doubt. Now, as far as which prophet of God, even asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for a sign to increase his level of certainty. You find none other than Nabiullah Ibrahim alayhi salam. Prophet Ibrahim in the school of Ahlul Bayt, we believe to be, is the second greatest prophet after Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. That it's Rasulullah is the greatest of all prophets, Anbiya. Then it comes to be Prophet Ibrahim. You find Prophet Ibrahim, the one who even began and established the foundations of the current religions that we see and love here today, with Judaism, began with Moses, and then David and Solomon, and going on eventually with Judaism being completed, followed with Christianity and Jesus and Mary, and then ultimately Islam. Nabiullah Ibrahim, the story is, one day he was walking by the beach, and he saw a dead body rotting. Half of the body was in the water, so it's in the beach water, and the other half was exposed to the air. So the fishes were eating one side, and the land creatures and the birds were eating the other side. So he's thinking, how is it that Allah is going to revive the dead? That thing doesn't look like it's going to be revived. It's really gone. And so in the Quran, he literally asks, قَالَ رَبِّي he says, with قَالَ إِبْرَاهِيمُ رَبِّي أَرِنِي كَيْفَ تُحْيِي الْمَوْتَى. Allah responds, قَالَ أَوَلَمْ تُؤْمِنْ قَالَ بَلَى وَلَكِنَّ لِيَطْمَئِنَّ قَلْبِي. Ibrahim says, Allah, show me, how do you revive the dead? كَيْفَ تُحْيِي الْمَوْتَى. Allah asks him a question. So Allah asks a question not because Allah doesn't know, obviously, but sometimes a lesson is achieved through asking questions. And that's something we should always keep in mind. That when we want to make sure a lesson is put across, especially to our siblings or some the younger generation that's always wondering about faith, perhaps instead of giving them direct answers, maybe ask them questions. Allah says, قَالَ أَوَلَمْ تُؤْمِنْ. Do you not believe? That's a really interesting question. Asking the Prophet of God, do you not believe that I can revive the dead? Ibrahim said, of course. قَالَ بَلَى. Of course I do believe. But وَلَكِنْ لِيَطْمَئِنَّ قَلْبِي. I want to have itmi'nan in my heart. See, itmi'nan in English translation would be to have certainty in my heart. I just want to reassure my heart. But the perfect translation would be, I need to have tranquility inside of my heart. Itma'nina, tranquility. Because I want my heart to experience tranquility, oh my Lord. Show me how you revive the dead. And so Allah then goes on the famous incident to go tell him take a bird, 4 birds, slaughter them, and mix the meat of those birds, put them on individual mountains, stand out far from the mountains, then call them, they'll come back to you, and I'll resurrect them like that. And you find this in the Quran happening a number of times, actually. You find with Prophet Azar, this prophet of God, on his mule, and he's going through an old town, and he sees this town, he's like, God, really, how do you revive the dead? Allah then kills him and his mule at that moment for a good 100 years. The story is very popular. He then revives him, but as he revives him, he makes sure that his eyes are the first things revived, so that he's able to see himself as he's being revived and collected all together again. And so he's put together, and his mule is put together, but everything else is now 100 years older. Ibrahim asks Allah for this, not because his iman was weak, no, but because for every once in a while, we need to experience that tranquility, brothers and sisters. We need to, from time to time, just let go of the rustle of society and just relax, reflect, calm down. All of us are doing exams, I know that, which is why it's so important to go on retreats, like the one that's coming up in a little bit, to go and just meditate and take some time off to have tranquility in your heart. Prophet of God needed it. I'm pretty sure from time to time we would need it. So with that being said, my dear respected brothers and sisters, I hope that this discussion came across as easy, as fluid, and to remember a few key points. Never ever ridicule or banish or ostracize, marginalize anybody that says, I doubt something in faith. Perhaps, number one, this could be a blessing, as mentioned, because with doubt, no one wants to live their life with a lack of certainty. They may then go and research, they may then go and study, and then increase their faith. And that's in that case. However, if it's the case where they really show doubt, and this is affecting the very fabric of their faith, then be as a source of guidance. Don't be the one that comes and says, look, it's either this or that, but I don't understand. So you have to come and then educate yourself before you then begin giving advice. Let's keep that in mind, inshallah ta'ala, brothers and sisters, and hopefully together we will be sources of knowledge for other people that may experience doubts in faith. Let's not be hard or harsh. I've seen horrible examples of someone just questioning the basic elementary levels of Islam and getting ridiculed. And if you use that abrasive attitude of ridiculing other people, that's not going to bring them to Islam, that's just going to push them further down. And inshallah ta'ala, we will commence our session. If you guys want to follow through with this, with the Q&A or discussion afterwards, then feel free to do so. If not, alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen, wa sallallahu ala Muhammadin wa alihi tayyibin at-tahirin. Allahumma salli. Does anybody have anything they would like to add or ask or anything they want to say? Anybody? Yes, sister. So the idea is for most non-believers of God, their reasons for not believing God are... Okay. Oh, okay, understood. Exactly. No, exactly. That's a very wonderful point. Of course, depending on the character of the person questioning you, that may be questioning, obviously, the existence of God. For the most part, I personally find, if it's with someone that would be like an intellectual per se, to say that what do you have to lose would be a decent approach. However, in some situations, or actually in many cases, it's not the fact of the matter that, what do you have to lose, just go ahead and believe it to begin with. No, obviously that wouldn't be something useful or resourceful. That is done assuming a previous conversation of the explanation that we had earlier with God cannot just be, or actually let me put it this way, something cannot exist without its creator. Creation cannot exist without its creator. And depending on the reasons why they reject God, many people reject Allah altogether. because they believe that, well, my understanding of God, if He's all great, why are there, calamities going on in the world? Or why are people dying in war and little children dying? You have to then come in and approach that mindset with their way of thinking. With that one in particular, there's a war happening and people are dying, but then we say, why did you let this happen? Well, people are doing it. Or with there's famine going on, when clearly crazy, wealthy politicians could have distributed something, but due to the theft that's been happening, corrupt politics in, let's say, some third world part of the third world country, then we raise our hands, why did you let that happen? Well, the humans caused a lot of this to begin with. It's not like God wants to see His creation suffer and whatnot. If Allah didn't love you, He wouldn't have created you to begin with. But of course, this is dunya. It's not meant to be Jannah. And with that obviously being said, there will be obstacles and trials in our lives. And so with the person that asks me, why should I believe in God? I have to first realize, well, why don't you believe in God? If it's because of that, then of course there's that approach. I see a lot of suffering. Yeah, but the suffering is not done directly by the great heavens. I mean, it's, people are fighting. It's literally people fighting. Or natural disasters are literally caused by just basic biology. I mean, just sometimes, unfortunately, some people happen to be in a really bad place at a really bad time. And so obviously you would have to figure out with their mindset where they're coming from. Is it because you don't understand God in the sense that if He's all merciful, why are people dying? One would need to assess the individual through their question individually. I would have to say that, because everybody is different. Are there more questions? Any more? Okay, mashallah, you guys are all ulama, all scholars, inshallah ta'ala. Today is, I think today's the last day to register for the winter retreat. Oh, it's closed? So there's no more room? We can't open up for like a minute? Okay. All right, anyhow, I hope for those that are coming on the retreat to look forward to a wonderful experience. As mentioned, I think in the talk, that from time to time, you just got to get out and just reflect and just think and meditate. I mean, what else was Rasulullah doing on that cave for 40 years? I mean, Salah, Islam wasn't revealed, so Salah wasn't prescribed. What else was he doing in Jabal Hira, Mount Hira and Jabal al-Nur? What was he doing? Just sitting and wasting time? Reflecting, meditating, dare I say. What better place to do that other than in the middle of the woods, in the cold, with some of your interesting friends, listening to wonderful talks and discussions, and just afterwards, so the 7th it begins, the 7th classes resume, and so then you can go back to the torment of your classes. Let's inshallah ta'ala end with a lot salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allah. Thank you very much.
Let us thank Sayyid Muhammad for that beautiful discussion. Unfortunately, due to the MYC winter retreat, there will be no next Friday night program. But so for the people going, I hope you guys have a good time. Also, the MYC will be selling snacks, so on your way out, be sure to stop by. Thank you again for joining us tonight. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.